Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, 2 new cast members are given a big role. Skip waiting for a Christmas fantasy parade this holiday season. A new experience is coming to downtown Disney.
Behind the scenes with the new Oogie Boogie at Haunted Mansion Holiday, a preview of Mr. Lincoln returning next year, a construction update. We talk about our time at this year's Dreaming Tree Gala in Marceline, Missouri, and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Well, hello there. Welcome to our unbirthday party. For your safety, please be sure to stay listening with your hands, arms, feet, and ears inside the podcast. And please, do give Tag and Teresa easier trivia questions. Well, it seems DL Weekly is about to begin. Have a most wonderful time. Perhaps tea time.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of September 24th, 2025. I'm Tag Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show, but this week we would like to give a special shout out to Peggy C., Mallory J., and Scott C. for your continued support, and also to Robert S. for becoming a new weekly tier. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only chat, plus a bunch of other really fun perks, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
And one final reminder that this coming Sunday at 7 is the first meeting of our book club to talk about the Disney Adults book. So if you are interested in that, this is probably your last chance to become a weekly tier and get involved in that. And if you are a weekly tier, make sure that you go into the Discord and get the information on that. Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
Just a few days ago, 2 cast members were selected for a very important role at the Disneyland Resort. Michelle Mary and Aurelia Neria Felix will represent thousands of cast members as the 2026-2027 Disneyland Ambassador team. This year marks the 60th anniversary of the Ambassador program, which was started by Walt Disney himself for the 10th anniversary of Disneyland. Since the start, nearly 250 cast members have been part of the Ambassador teams all around the world. In addition to the parks, Aulani, the Disney Resort and Spa in Hawaii, also has an ambassador.
That is wild. That not only is it the 70th anniversary of the park, but it's the 60th anniversary of the Disney Ambassador program, which, of course, like Tag mentioned, started in Disneyland. But the other crazy thing, too, is like, you know that it's a big deal, right? But when you realize that it's been going on for 60 years and it's nearly 250 people have had this honor, that really kind of puts it into perspective as to like, holy, like out of the hundreds of thousands of cast members that have gone through, only the 250 have been bestowed the title ambassador and have earned the title ambassador. That's really amazing. And like, super congratulations to all of the current and former ambassadors, because it's just such a big deal, and it's such a great honor for them to be chosen to be the one to represent their cast at their location.
Yeah. And so Aulani has one ambassador, and then all of the other resorts around the world. So Tokyo Disneyland has 2, Hong Kong Disneyland has 2, Shanghai Disneyland has 2, of course the Disneyland Resort has 2, Walt Disney World has 2. So it's really cool that they do this, and what an honor to be able to be these folks that they get to go out and do all types of really fun, cool stuff representing the company and the resorts in the communities where these are at. And of course, go to cool things like they go to the D23 Ultimate Fan event. They just do a ton of stuff. So how super cool. And like, I forget until this comes up every couple of years that like, oh yeah, like we get new ones every couple of years. So I think it's because like COVID threw that off, because Justin and Rafa were ambassadors for what, like 3 or 4 years?
They were extended. COVID? They had an extended period that they were ambassadors. But typically it's a shorter term, and it's like I believe our last ambassadors were just 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, this holiday season, there's no need to wait for the perfect spot to see the Christmas Fantasy Parade. The Plaza Inn will offer a dining package starting on November 16th that includes reserved parade viewing. The package is priced at $58 per adult and $32 per child. The package includes a creamy potato leek soup, herb roasted chicken with mashed potatoes, buttered haricot vert served with a caramelized onion sauce, a holiday Yule log, and a fountain drink. The children's meal includes chicken tenders served with a creamy mashed potato, green beans and chicken gravy with a Hawaiian roll, holiday Yule log, and bottled water or milk. Booking starts on September 25th, so later this week.
So I was curious, like, I'm sure you know this better than I do. Is this new this year, or did they have this last year?
This is not new. They have had this before. The menu changes from year to year, of course.
Okay.
But the dining package has been before. And we've seen it for other parades, too. They've had it for the 70th anniversary, there was a parade dining package that was at the Plaza Inn. And various times they've had other ones too. I want to say there was one for the Main Street Electrical Parade.
Sure.
But yeah, very exciting. The other way, if you are looking to get kind of a reserved section so you don't have to stake out your spot for parade viewing, is we're still waiting on details, but there is a holiday time guided tour. That part of the like perk of that tour is that you get a section. There's a section that's reserved, and you have a reserved area to watch the parade from as well. We did that, and it was really, really fun. They served like hot chocolate to us during that, and we had some treats to enjoy as well during the parade. So it was very fun, very festive. So again, we don't have details, and I keep checking on the Disneyland website to see if they kind of have silently released information or dates or pricing to book, but nothing just yet. But we do know about this dining package.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's only a matter of time. I feel like we're already getting pretty heavy into announcements for the holiday season, so which is good because you got to plan ahead, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we've talked before about wages at the Disneyland Resort and all the struggles that cast members and the company have had coming to a mutually beneficial agreement. Well, Disneyland has agreed to pay $233 million to settle a 2019 class action lawsuit that alleged Disney was not adjusting wages to match the higher requirements that Anaheim had passed. In addition to the settlement, 4 unions representing over 14,000 employees struck a deal to raise the base pay to $24 an hour, including back pay with interest, to 2019.
That is incredible and a huge win for cast members. I feel like this, I don't know, this is not something that was really being talked about in the different news sources that we see until recently. And it's when they like reached the settlement is when I first was hearing about it, or that, the settlement was kind of wrapping up. So I don't know if I would have to go back and listen in the archives of DL Weekly to see, were we talking about this in 2019 and 2020? We must have been.
I think so.
But then it kind of just fell off the radar. So it's pretty amazing that this started in 2019 and they just now figured, came to an agreement. But kudos to, congratulations and like excitement for all the cast members that this affects, because this is big, because cast members, as you all are very well aware, are the true magic makers. And without them, Disneyland just wouldn't be the amazing place that it is today. So this is a great win for them. The only thing that I'm a little nervous about is last few times that we've had some sort of something where it comes to negotiations and it's a win for the cast members, Disney then seems to get a little bit financially conservative in other aspects of the park. I'm thinking about when they just did a bunch of cuts for entertainment and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that we don't have a negative. I don't think the parks can take much more cuts than where we're currently at. In fact, I'm hoping that they're going to be pumping more money into the guest experience around the park and getting more cast members out there, getting more entertainment, more offerings, that sort of thing. So that makes me nervous that things like the Hyperion Theater might be closed for even longer, or same thing with the Fantasyland Theater that hasn't had a show in it forever, it feels like at this point. So I really hope that I'm just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, which is horrible to say, but I'm very, very happy and very excited for all the cast that this impacted.
Yeah. It's always tough, because none of us want to pay more to go experience the parks, but if you're paying, we just talked 14,000 cast members. That's not even all. I think that the Disneyland Resort has over 30,000 cast members, and so if you think about a pay increase for that many people, it may only be $1 or $2 per hour, but then again, you're thinking like 40 hours a week. So I'm not defending Disney, but we do have to think like on a scale that Disney is, that like that adds up very quickly. So I can understand on one side like why they try to like keep that cost in control, but at the same time, like people need to have a livable wage, and California 100%. Is not the cheapest place to live, that's for sure. Well, good on them, and I hope things continue to go well, and hopefully Disney will learn from this, and in the future, when there's things like abide by them so they don't end up having to have the bad press of it. Because
Yeah.
right now they're going through a lot of bad press stuff right now, which we're not going to really get into on the episode because I'm sure it's been ended everywhere else, and we don't really have anything, I think, to add to that discussion right now. But it's just not a good time. Like, they didn't need this to also be there. So,
like Tag said, we're just kind of going to leave all of the turmoil as it is, but just know that we support the cast members, we support the entertainers, we support all those people 100%. Yes, we love Disney, but we support them first. They come first and foremost.
Well, like Walt said, you can build the greatest place, but it takes people to make it happen. So.
Exactly. Well, a new experience is coming to Naples Restaurant and Bar in downtown Disney this Halloween season. Pumpkins and Pancakes is a 90-minute experience that includes a family-style breakfast with hot cocoa and cider, pumpkin picking and decorating, a photo opportunity, take-home treats, and bottomless mimosas for guests 21 and up. Tickets are $75 plus tax and gratuity for adults and $39 for kids ages 3 to 10. To reserve a place, check out our link in the show notes.
The only thing that I will say about this that I thought was a little strange is I was like, we're in the Halloween season, and they're just now talking about this. So there's a few dates for this: October 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th. And it sounds pretty cool. I want to see how this works out. Are they going to put a little pumpkin patch there because you're going to go pick them? Because obviously, in the middle of downtown Disney, they're not growing pumpkins. I mean, they could, I suppose.
So it's every Sunday. That's what the dates are. That's fun. But yeah, every Sunday in October, you can have this fun pumpkins and pancakes experience.
Well, we'll be in downtown Disney for our meetup, so we'll have to peek over
see what's happening
as we go by to see, because I'm curious about the picking. Mm-hmm. Well, Walt Disney Imagineering is at it again, showing off their skills online. This time, they posted a video on Instagram showing off the behind-the-scenes that resulted in the updated Oogie Boogie for the Haunted Mansion holiday this year. Imagineers show off how they did it and what is new this time around.
Okay, I love that they did this, and I kind of think it's fun that they did this after the Haunted Mansion had reopened, and they didn't kind of showcase and let everyone know about this before Haunted Mansion Holiday reopened, because I think it was really fun that so many people were kind of going through and were like, oh, they were just it was something that people weren't expecting and were very impressed by, to the point that everyone's like, okay, did they just really work on Oogie Boogie? Is this a new animatronic? Everyone, there were so many questions that everybody had. So I think it's really cool that they kind of let everybody experience it and think about it and try and figure it out. And then they made, this video with the behind the scenes talking to the folks responsible for Oogie Boogie's upgrade.
Yeah, it's neat too. Not often do we get to see Imagineers inside the attraction, programming stuff, and so it's neat to see them in there with a little fold-up table and all their computer stuff, doing all this. And they have 3 different Imagineers that are in this. They all add and do a different part of it. So there's a show programmer. There's another person who is kind of the supervisor for the whole thing. There's another guy, associate show programmer. So kind of neat to see how this all comes about and how they do it. And I love behind the scenes stuff. So seeing them sitting there, and then later on in the video, they have a little part where they're we want to make sure we can see what it looks like from the Doom Buggy. So they sit in a Doom Buggy and they're watching it and all that. So super cool to see this. I don't know. I kind of wish they would put even more of this type of content out to show
maybe
how they do it. Yeah. So
we're getting more and more, which is,
they must have a social media team now.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too. Go check it out. Link in our show notes.
Weekly tiers who watched the special edition of 2020 for the Disneyland 70th anniversary may have seen a preview of Mr. Lincoln, which will be premiering after the 70th anniversary in 2026, in rotation with Walt Disney: A Magical Life. The Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln show will be largely the same, except for the setting. Lincoln now sits in a space similar to the Oval Office, flanked by the U.S. and state of Illinois flags. If you missed it on ABC, you can stream The Happiest Story on Earth, 70 Years of Disneyland on Disney Plus and Hulu, which, if you were Tag and I, we missed it because we were traveling back home from Marceline. And I am so excited that they are having it later, because maybe I'll even watch it tonight, depending on how long this recording goes.
So I thought it was going to be next day, but I'm looking at it on Disney Plus right now, and they say coming 9/28
really?
At 7 p.m. So it's going to be, what is that? 9/28 is
next week.
Well, yeah, but it is next Sunday. So next Sunday, as
mark
you
your calendars,
you can watch it on Disney Plus. Although I think you could probably go watch it on Hulu maybe, but inside of Disney Plus. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They said 9/28, 7 p.m. when it launches.
There we go.
So go check it out.
Well, we waited this long. We can wait another week.
That's true. I'm very excited to see this. I didn't even know that they were going to like talk about this. I didn't know that they were going to change like the staging and stuff for it.
Which
It
makes
looks
sense.
cool.
It makes total sense that they had to change the stage.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see this. Also, we didn't know when Mr. Lincoln would be coming back for sure. Like they were just like, oh, when things die, eventually or whatever. So this does seem to indicate that this will be after the 70th like concludes. So Walt gets the limelight until then. So. Well, not a ton is going on construction-wise in the parks, but there is quite a bit going on in downtown Disney. The security checkpoint between the Disneyland Hotel and the shopping district is under construction to add a new permanent gate. The new location for Earl of Sandwich continues to take shape, while work still continues on Lululemon in the old ESPN Zone building, and exterior work continues on the Lego store.
This was wild. When I was trying to figure out what the area, like for some reason Tag and I were convinced that the downtown Disney Live stage area had like that green space had some sort of name. So when I was trying to get things together for our meetup, I was trying to figure out, like what is the best way to describe this space? So I'm looking at the app and I'm in downtown Disney, and of course I'm on that far side of downtown Disney by the Disneyland Hotel, and I was very surprised because the old ESPN Zone building, even on the Disneyland app, is marked as Lululemon now.
Oh,
which I was like, so that was pretty exciting. I know we know it's coming, but I feel like it feels more like it feels close or more permanent or something because it's actually
in the app. It's official.
Actually in the app. So that was pretty exciting. I'm really curious about the updates to the downtown Disney original gate the security gate that's closest to the Disneyland Hotel and where the Sorcerer's Hat is, because they're doing updates to make it a permanent gate, but they're also making it so that they can like close it if needed. So I'm very curious what that's all gonna look like once the work wraps up there.
Well, it's interesting to me because this end of downtown Disney has like 3 entrances. Yeah. So they have the really nice one.
The nice new one.
And so I'm just wondering, I guess they're just going to see how like the Disneyland Forward thing shakes out before they decide on what they're going to do to try to make other things, I feel like, more permanent. I also think it's funny that they, in the map, I'm looking at it right now, that there's an entire parking lot here, but it doesn't show it on the map. It's just greenery.
Maybe that's some foreshadowing of Disneyland Forward. Who knows? Kind of like we've got the foreshadowing of Lululemon.
By the way, I'm very impressed that you found that on there because I don't think I would have noticed that. But yeah, because see, there's still parking lot down. That's weird.
Maybe it's foreshadowing.
Maybe we need to start looking at the app closer because there's probably stuff in there it's telling us about.
Speaking of, I feel like this audience probably already knows this, but I still think it's super, super fun. Have you ever spent too much time on the Disneyland app while you're not like, checking for ride wait times or trying to do mobile orders or anything, and zoomed in on different sections of the map because there are some fun little hidden details and little Easter eggs, if you will, that you can find on the map. The one that comes to mind is it Rocket and Groot, I think, are on the Guardians Tower?
Yep. The
Mission Breakout Tower, which is super fun. I feel like those popped up like during the lockdown time.
Yeah.
Or everyone became aware that they were there during lockdown. Because
people were like longingly looking at their app trying to like figure.
But yeah, anyways, there's some fun little hidden details. If you know of any other fun hidden little details, write in, let us know which ones you know about. Yeah, Rocket and Groot were on the tower, so.
Wasn't there...
I don't remember.
There's a lot, I'm sure.
Fun little throwback to when that was like the closest we could get to the park was just studying the app and the maps.
Crazy.
It is crazy. Well, a recent study of TripAdvisor reviews found that some of the places we like to visit the most are also the most stressful. Theme parks dominate the results with 6 Disney locations in the top 20 worldwide. Disneyland ranks number 5 globally, but number 1 in the U.S., followed by the Las Vegas Strip and the National Museum of American History. That's kind of interesting. In Washington, D.C., some reasons for theme parks to rank so highly include a combination of massive crowds, long wait times, and high expectations. To see all the results, check out the link in our show notes.
So Teresa didn't originally add this in, but
theme parks, I think, make sense.
Yeah.
I'm surprised about the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C., why that one's rated so high for stress.
It's really interesting. Like, obviously, you probably could go look this up on TripAdvisor, and because that's where all this data came from.
Oh, the Gateway Arch too's on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. Yellowstone, SeaWorld, the National Zoo.
I got a bone to pick here.
Okay.
How is Disneyland? I guess it's Disneyland Resort, not Disneyland Park, because Disney's California Adventure is also on the list. And I'm like, wait a minute. How is California Adventure, quote unquote, less stressful than Disneyland?
Well, the other thing, too, is
I feel like it's harder to get stuff done in DCA.
They have ambiguous things, too, like Walt Disney World.
Sure.
Is that the whole property? Is that, I don't know. Universal Studio Hollywood's on here, Space Needle. Some of these things, though, like the Space Needle or Gateway Arch, I feel like the stress comes from, it's a high up, stressful
that
thing.
Could be. Yeah.
As opposed to, just going there is stressful.
Sure.
So maybe Disneyland's kind of like that too, because maybe you get people anxiety. I don't know. We'll have to go look.
Well, I mean, I get it though, because we've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast. Us super fans are very unique in the fact that we pay attention weekly, at least if you're listening to the podcast, as to what's going on just specifically at the Disneyland Resort. And the fact that we can have a podcast that has been going since 2017 weekly talking about all the different changes and updates, that's crazy. When you really think about it, that's wild that there's enough content and changes happening at just that one Disney park that we can even that DL Weekly even exists. So the fact that we're very, very plugged in and there's still tons and tons of changes, it's amazing to think then of someone who's first ever visit there is. They don't know that they need park reservations or mobile dining and get the reservations to eat at specific places or to be able to do certain things, or what is a lightning lane. There's this whole new subculture and language really involved that you need to learn before. So I can see how it's different for us because we're just so involved in it. But when you and I've really, this has really come to the forefront with my travel planning with concierge, when you really break things back and kind of break it all back down to the basics, it's a ton of information for people to try and sort through and get through. And it's really exciting though, too, because you're getting this information and you're feeling prepared and you're feeling like you're going to have a great trip. But I think it's also very difficult not to have a high level of expectation of what your thought is on how your days are going to go and stuff like that. So the biggest tip, right, for anybody, whether you're a seasoned traveler of the Disney parks or it's your first ever time, is to just go in with kind of low expectations. Just choose a couple of things, have each person in your family choose one thing per day that's their top thing to do. Work through those things, and then everything else is just a bonus, because then it's not as, if you go in thinking you're going to do absolutely every single thing in one day, you're setting yourself up for failure, because that's a very, very difficult task to do. Some days maybe you'd be able to do it because the crowd levels are low enough, but a lot of the times, no.
Yeah. So I was looking at some of this, the world on the world's list here. It's interesting because 3 of the top 4 are located in Japan. There's Tokyo Disney Sea is number 2, Universal Studios Japan is 3, Tokyo Disneyland is 4. They've got some things you wouldn't even think about, the Palace of Versailles that's in France. It's number 10. Stonehenge. And so they actually pulled this out because they said, why is it so stressed? So they talked about some specific things. And one of the things they talked about was, first of all, premium pricing, which we can count all the theme parks are at that.
Yeah.
Visitors feel that they have to maximize their minute, like you were just saying. Weather throws in a wild card, particularly at outdoor things like Canada's Wonderland and Disneyland, where a sudden downpour or scorching heat can really screw your day. Many travelers also crack under the weight of sky-high expectations, which we also just talked about. Time crunch of trying to fit it in their operating hours, and they have a lot of attractions, which you think is a good thing, but actually can be stressful, apparently. And then they talked also, I was looking at the one for Stonehenge, because I was like, okay, well, what's crappy about that? And they said with Stonehenge, which I know we're a Disneyland podcast, but Stonehenge was talking about that it was stressful. A combination of unpredictable English weather and restricting viewing distances can be a brush with ancient history into a modern day headache. So I think just like logistics, and since more, I would agree, I think that you would agree that more people now are probably traveling than like ever before, especially since COVID.
Sure.
And so more people are going to these places because the internet and people have posted pictures. And like, so people have been like, well, I got to go see this and I got to go see that. So a lot of these places, Stonehenge, the Louvre, all of these things used to not be as busy because people would just, you'd have to do your research or whatever. But nowadays, like with the internet, everybody wants to see everything, and so everybody's going to all these places, especially after COVID.
Which is great, but then it's social media, I think,
yeah,
kind of fuels into the expectation versus reality thing, because what people are posting is their experience might not actually be what the reality of the experience is. I love when people do that, when they post like the really gorgeous, you said the Louvre, like the really gorgeous close-up photo of like the Mona Lisa, and then there's the picture of like them at the way back of the gallery, and there's this sea of people, like a
mosh pit
in between them and like the itty bitty painting on the wall, so it's just what you have in your mind sometimes of these places versus how they actually are is also something that can be very stressful.
Expectation versus reality.
Yes, exactly.
And that can happen with anything.
Oh, yeah.
But I just thought it was an interesting kind of data source, and it was using TripAdvisor, so it wasn't like it was. But also, you got to think about this. So think about this, dear listener. When do people go leave reviews for things? When they're upset more than they are when they like things. So like more, millions of people go to Disneyland, so you're going to get more people upset about that.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
You buy a pair of socks, that's 2 socks. You buy a pair of Bombas socks, that's 4 socks. Because one purchased is one donated. Socks are the #1 most requested clothing item in homeless shelters. So when you buy a pair of super comfortable Bombas socks, you're also donating a pair. Bombas customers have powered over 150 million donations. So Bombas would like to thank you 150 million times. But we only have like 30 seconds. Go to bombas.com and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO at checkout.
I am the podcast that flaps in the night. I am the churro crumb in your meticulously planned itinerary. I am DLWeekly.
Well, this week for Snack Chat, because we have finished with both parks, I don't even know how we've done this, but we have. We're going to start hitting up downtown Disney. And of course, the first thing you run into after you leave the parks and are going into downtown Disney is, at least for now, location-wise, one of our favorite places, which is Earl of Sandwich. And what's interesting is there are 2 different menus depending on if you are at the main building that's right outside the parks versus the like little portable trailer thing that's at the other end.
Yeah, which makes sense.
2 different menus. So let's start off with the main location at the tavern.
Okay.
What do they got? I don't think we have to go necessarily through like everything.
No, we're not going to go through everything.
But
So
what do they got?
They do serve breakfast, and they serve it daily until 11 a.m. And there's 9 different breakfast options, ranging from a fruit cup, oatmeal, breakfast tots, to all sorts of fun different breakfast sandwiches. And if you're like me, breakfast isn't really maybe your thing. They do have a breakfast BLT. There's nothing breakfast about it except for the bacon. So it is just a regular BLT. It doesn't like, when they say breakfast BLT, I would assume there's like an egg on it too. There's not.
Sure.
It's just bacon, lettuce, Roma tomato, and mayonnaise. And then there's also a ham and Swiss sandwich as well that, again, if you're not a breakfast person, there's not breakfast things on it. So you can have savory non-breakfast food items as well.
So the big thing that we usually go for is they have hot sandwiches, which is kind of what they're known for. So they've got like a club, an original tuna melt, chipotle chicken avocado, Teresa's favorite, the caprese.
Oh, it's so good.
There's the Italian, which is my favorite. They have a ham and Swiss, a holiday turkey.
That is probably the other like big one.
Holiday
that
turkey.
Holiday turkey one. So the holiday turkey is unique. It's turkey with cornbread stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, and mayonnaise on a like their toasted sub roll.
So it's like leftovers on a sub.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so really good heated up sandwiches, toasted, really, really good.
You can also get handcrafted wraps. It looks like we've got 4 different handcrafted wraps. We've got kind of your classics, your buffalo chicken, your chicken Caesar. There's also a chicken bacon avocado wrap, but there's also a spicy tuna wrap.
They have 4 different green salads. Of course, your classic like chicken Caesar. They have a house salad, a Greek salad, and a caprese salad. Did you know they had a caprese salad?
Did not, but I'm sure it's delicious because if you like mozzarella cheese, fresh tomatoes, basil, and a very thick balsamic vinegar, you need to try the caprese at Earl of Sandwich. It's much better. It's like it's better than it should be. I guess would be a good way of saying it. It's just so delicious.
It is your go-to.
It is my. It's not my go-to. It is what I order.
Yeah,
like I don't know if I've ordered the breakfast BLT once because we were there for breakfast with my family.
Sure.
But other than that, caprese all the way. They do also have soups, tomato and broccoli and cheddar.
For kids, they got a kid's pizza bread and a kid's grilled cheese and a kid's turkey and Swiss.
And then you can also add sides to your sandwiches. Sides include chips, side of mac and cheese, or a potato salad. Ooh, I might have to try those.
I didn't know they had potato salad.
I didn't either. I'm going to have to. It looks good, too.
It does look good. For dessert, they have chocolate chip cookie, a sugar cookie, brownie bites, a regular brownie, and a brookie, which is a half brownie, half cookie.
Yes, for those of you that can't decide between the cookie and the brownie.
I
They
can't
have an
imagine
option.
who that would be.
They have an option. And then, of course, all sorts of different beverages as well,
Yeah.
including hot chocolate with marshmallow whipped cream.
Ooh.
That sounds good too. So moving on down to the far end of downtown Disney. So we're down by like Star Traders now in the downtown Disney live stage. This is the downtown Disney, or the, mobile temporary Earl of Sandwich that's been down there. They do have breakfast there as well. They have a little smaller of a breakfast menu. It looks like there's 5 different sandwiches you can get for breakfast. And
They also-
look at this.
Yeah.
They have a ham breakfast bowl or burrito down there.
That's different.
Scrambled eggs, smoked ham, breakfast tots, red onions, Roma tomatoes, cheddar, and sour cream. Yum.
They also have breakfast
Yeah, they have the breakfast tots there too.
Yeah, and then hot sandwiches. It looks like they got pretty much the full complement of all the different sandwiches you can get at the other place. And they also have cold deli sandwiches.
Look at that. I was not expecting them to have more things at this location.
Yeah, so they got a zesty Italian, an Earl's Ultimate, which is turkey, ham, bacon, cheddar, Swiss, Roman tomato, mayo, and Earl's dressing. They have a double Monty, which is a roast beef, turkey, mayo, cheddar, Swiss, lettuce, Roman tomato, and Earl dressing, and a Cook's Capri, which is fresh mozzarella, Roman tomato, avocado, basil, balsamic, and Earl's dressing. So that's kind of like what you get. It's not toasted, and it has this Earl's dressing.
Mm-hmm. And avocado.
Oh, yeah.
Delicious. You can also make your sandwiches a combo there, which you can do at the other place. They do have 3 different wraps. The buffalo chicken, chicken bacon avocado, and the chicken Caesar are available.
and all the salads that they had before, the same 4, and only the tomato soup here.
Just tomato soup. There is a cheese pizza bread that you can get, and then also same kids menu for the pizza bread, grilled cheese, and the turkey and Swiss.
And they only have fountain beverages and coffee. The other location has iced tea,
and bottles, and and the hot chocolate that we just learned too.
Yeah.
I am like very intrigued that somehow there is.
I was surprised they had different menus, slightly.
What my expectation was, the permanent location would have the larger menu of the two, and then maybe this downtown Disney temporary place would have had just like the best sellers or something. So just a more. So I'm very surprised that they have the breakfast bowl thing there, and they have extra sandwiches that are cold sandwiches. So that was surprising. So now we got to choose which one do we want to go visit when we're there next.
Well, we're having the meetup there, so
I know, but we go past both of them, so we have options.
Well, we get something small at the beginning, and then when the meetup's over, we go to the other one. No, we got to do the thing we hadn't done before. We got to go. I mean, I guess
there's lots of things we haven't done before.
Well, if you enjoy listening to the show, please consider rating and reviewing the show on your podcast app. If you have something you like about the show, put it in there. Rate it however you feel necessary. Doing that helps other Disney fans find the show and become weekly tiers and part of the community and all of that.
I do find it funny. We didn't do this on purpose, but we were just talking about the TripAdvisor stuff.
Yeah.
And how people usually only review when they have something negative to say.
Oops.
Please also review us if you have something positive to say. Don't just... But in all true, actually, this is a great point. If there is something that we are doing that is maybe upsetting you, we really, not that we don't want you to skew our ratings, we want to work on these things. So please contact us in a way. You can email us, if there's any sort of feedback you have, please let us know at feedback@dlweekly.net, because sometimes it's difficult because there's reviews that go out there and it's something that we want to either respond to or we want to know more about so that we can make it right or fix it. So if you have something like that, please do not feel timid to reach out to us and let us know, because we want to make the best show we can for you, the listeners.
Yeah. And if you want to be anonymous too, you can go on our website, DLWeekly.net, and there's a contact form there too that you can send in if you don't want to share your email address, that kind of thing.
There you go.
Your attention, please. DL Weekly Trivia is now leaving for a Grand Circle tour of the Magic Kingdom, with stops at New Orleans Square, Mickey's Toontown, and Tomorrowland. All weekly tiers for...
Hello, folks. Welcome to Trivia Land. How's it feeling tonight?
I'm feeling energized after our weekend in Marceline with extra Disney knowledge is packed in there somehow.
But my guess is the stuff we learned in Marceline is not the stuff James is going to ask us about.
Probably not, but that's okay.
We can only hope, right? So, yeah, you can't talk about that until you answer some trivia questions. And I've got one listener question mixed in this week. So,
all right,
be ready for it. Apparently, mostly food this week with one not food. So, our first question for you is, what is the name of the lounge inside of Club 33?
You know it, and then you're just waiting for me to answer it?
No,
Crickets.
it's one of those that fell out of my head. That's
I feel like we were just talking about this not that long ago. I feel shame. Shame on me. Shame on my goat.
All of the shame.
All of the shame.
It literally fell out. Just fell out of my head.
I think about it. I actually think about the name of this fairly frequently, but right now, if my life depended on it, I don't know if I can come up with the name of this.
Holy cow. Can we have some sort of slight hint, James?
It is not an English name.
Oh, Salon Nouveau.
Yes. Thank you.
What was screwing me up was I thought that lounge.
Yeah, I got
was
stuck
in the name.
I got stuck on lounge too.
The Salon Nouveau. Thank you, James, for that hint.
You're welcome. Remember how kind I am.
Oh no,
this does not bode well.
Yeah.
Question number 2: what year did the Dapper Dans debut on Main Street?
We had this question, I think, before.
You probably have.
What year did the Dapper Dans appear on Main Street?
Debut, yeah. I want to say that it's later than we thought, because I think that we really want to go with early in the park's history, still in the 50s. But for some reason, my brain thinks the 70s Or maybe even the 80s.
Nah.
73.
You know what's hard is like their look is timeless. So it's very hard to think of the early days of the Dapper Dans and like place what time frame that would make sense
It's
in.
true.
1973 for me, James.
Got it.
73 for you. Okay. I'm seriously trying to
Maybe it was in the 60s.
really think if like I'm trying to base like Walt. Was Walt around or was Walt not around? Because I was feeling 60s, but I generally don't
That is the question.
think I remember anything like with Walt and the Dapper Dans, and I feel like there should have been some sort of photos or something.
They do feel like something that is like timeless that has been there forever.
Yeah.
That's what's tricky, right?
Okay, you said 73. I think they're also post-Walt, but I'm going to go... I have no idea. 1981.
Wow.
Excellent.
My birth year. Great year.
Great year. All right. Question number 3. On today's dates of recording, Monday, September 22nd, 2025, what churros are on the menu throughout Pixar Pier?
Oh, boy.
Well, there's like what's the hot one that's at the... Oh, no, that's Angry Dogs. Never mind.
I was like,
Senor Buzz's churros.
Yeah, Senor Buzz's
There's a
churros.
spicy one.
I don't know.
I think there's like a spicy one.
I don't think
It's
so.
like caliente or something like that.
I think there's like a classic churro.
Well, yeah, classic.
It's
And
by
we're-
far like our least visited churro stand,
It
so
is.
I am being really rude with this.
For sure, classic. I think
Can you give us a hint and tell us how many, James?
I have 2 on my list, excluding anything classic.
so. 2 specialties. Because we're in a weird time where the 70th and Halloween time is kind of overlapping.
But I don't feel like anything ever shows up at the churro cart on Pixar Pier.
I should clarify. The classic just has a fun name for Senor Buzz, but yes.
Okay.
2 total.
2 total.
Yep.
Okay, so there's like a classic, but you want the fun name.
I mean, the fun name is fun.
Okay.
You could give me the flavor, and I would accept that as well.
Cinnamon?
Cinnamon. Cinnamon sugar.
Done. Yep.
There's
Okay.
a cinnamon sugar churro.
I think there's one that's like
Is there a Pixar themed one?
I don't know. I think there's one that has spice to it. Like it's got like
You think there's
cayenne
a spicy
or
one?
something.
Okay, you can say they're spicy.
Well, cayenne's probably not a... What's like a Mexican... Is cayenne a Mexican like spice?
I
Okay.
don't.
Well, I'll do cayenne.
I really don't think there's a spicy one there, but I could be completely wrong. I think it's themed, but I'm really going back and forth with, is it Halloween?
Do you know what's really sad? Did we not cover this in Snack Chat weeks ago?
You know what's even worse? I covered it a second time when you were not here and Vern and I were doing trivia, so I
Churro chat.
really should know.
Checks out.
I think it's a Halloween one, but I don't know what it is. So that's not really helpful.
We'll work with it. All right, we'll work with it. Last question. Listener Paige N wants to know if you can tell us approximately how many quick service restaurants are in Disneyland.
In Disneyland?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's think.
Main Street.
So Main Street, are we counting?
Carnation.
Does the Market House count
I don't think so.
as a quick service?
James, does Market House
Do
count?
you think the Market House counts as a
I
quick
don't
service?
think the Market House
Okay.
counts in this.
Okay, so we've got Coke Corner, we've got the Corn Dog Place, we've got Jolly Holiday, we've got the Plaza Inn.
Carnation's not a... No, that's a
Nope,
sit-down.
That's a sit down. And then
that's Main
let's go to
Street.
Adventureland. We've got
Bengal Barbecue.
Bengal Barbecue. Tropical
And
Hideaway,
Tropical Hideaway.
New Orleans Square,
We've got Tiana's, right?
Ooh,
Tiana's.
Market House does count.
Okay, Market
So,
House.
One more. Tiana's, the place that I always have trouble remembering, the Harbor
Royal Street
Galley.
Veranda.
No, Royal Street Veranda, but Harbor Galley's also one.
Yep.
The Mint Julep Bar,
Okay.
Harbor Galley. The Hungry Bear. We'll go backwards. Golden Horseshoe Rancho. We've got Galaxy's Edge. So we've got, is Oga's? Nah. For sure, we've got Ronto Roasters.
Yep.
And
Cat Saka's Kettle.
do you think that's
Kettles,
one, too? Because it's like snacks.
That's true.
That's why, like,
Because
with
you're not counting
Oga's,
like
it's
churro
like
carts and
snacks.
popcorn carts. Yeah. You also forgot...
Docking Bay.
Well, I know you didn't go into there, but you were kind of going that
Okay,
direction.
where are we going now?
But Village... Well, it's not Village House anymore.
Yeah,
Red
they
Rose
have Red
Tavern.
Rose.
The
Maurice's
Troubadour.
Treats or not?
Troubadour.
Cafe Daisy.
Edelweiss, or is that count as quick service?
I don't know. Galactic Grill, Alien Pizza Planet.
You did Cafe Daisy already?
Daisy. What's the other one? Good Boy. No, Good Boy Groceries is not it. I think it's just Cafe Daisy now, really.
Okay. Did you do Galactic? You did Galactic Grill, Alien Pizza Planet. I think you did
20. We're gonna say 25.
Sure.
Approximately 25.
Sounds great. That's a lot of food places.
That's just quick service.
Yeah.
So, did you miss any?
Wait. Disneyland Park or Disneyland Resort?
Disneyland Park.
Okay, good.
Yep. Disneyland Park. Yep.
Like, wait.
Time to go through DCA and then, oh my gosh, downtown Disney.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Nope, don't need that for today. Maybe another
the only
day.
Thing that
and no one is sending that question in either.
I think of the
producers
only thing
will
is
just ask it. It's fine.
What is a quick service restaurant? Because is like Maurice's Treats. No, it's kind of like a cart. Same thing with like Katsaka, whatever it is, because I can't do it. Katsaka's kettle. Like, I don't know, because it's just snacks, but is that still quick service?
I'm Googling what is a quick service restaurant.
I am excited to give you the list after your discussion topic this week because I think it's pretty inconsistent and makes this question even harder.
Oh, wonderful.
So, but first, you have to talk about Marceline.
Marceline.
Sure.
Right.
Potato.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Well, for this week's discussion topic, we are going to talk about our most recent trip to Marceline, Missouri. We literally just got back as we're recording this last night, so it's very, very fresh in our brains, all the wonderful things that we got to do in Marceline. Now, we are very fortunate. Marceline is the closest Disney thing that we have to us, so we can drive to Marceline. We don't have to get on a plane and drive to the airport to get on a plane to then drive to the end location to get there. So it is still a lengthy car ride. It's about 6.5, 7 hours. It is interesting at times because there are gravel roads that we take for portions of it, which amuse us endlessly each time it happens.
Well, what's weird is it gives like the same map app, same starting point and destination, and then you just reverse it. And it'll take us in two totally different ways. Because our way back felt more normal. We only had one little strip of dirt road, where on the way down there, it was
a little bit more.
It was more
gravel road.
But at the beginning, I also just want to say, first of all, the people in Marceline and the people at the Walt Disney Hometown Museum do an amazing job. They put on a wonderful event, which you're going to hear all about in a second. But we want to spend a special shout out to Kay, who is the director
and the founder of
the founder, and Sumner, who is the only other full-time employee of the museum, and he was responsible for a lot of the stuff that happened this weekend. It seemed like he was everywhere, all at once.
Both of them were.
Yes. And so thank you to both of them. Gracious as always. Super wonderful people. Heard some wonderful stories from Sumner about Marceline and people in Marceline and stuff. That was really awesome. So, and of course, they're very busy, so like we didn't get to spend as much time with them as we had hoped, just because they're great people.
It just gives us a reason to go back and visit them, right?
Yes. When we were leaving, I was like, we'll be back here again, I'm sure.
Oh, 100%. 100% we will, because again, it's the easiest place for us to get to, as far as we can just get in our car and go. And it's just so wonderful there. It's just this, like, if you haven't been, I hope we don't oversay this, but really, if you haven't been, you got to put it on your Disney list of things to do. It is kind of a trek and a bit out of the way for folks to get there, because the closest airport is 2 hours away. So if you do have to fly in, you do also then need to rent a car to get over there and all that. So it is a commitment.
It's a pilgrimage to Marceline.
It is a commitment, but I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's just there's just an electricity in the air. The people of the town are just so nice. There's literally Disney touches throughout the entire town. So it's a really special place. And the thing that's very cool about it, and it really showed during the gala weekends, is how proud the town is of their connection with Walt's, and how the town really just pulls together to put on this amazing, awesome event.
There was a wonderful couple to speak to that, Teresa. There was the wonderful couple that we met that were by the son of the Dreaming Tree, which is the Dreaming Tree unfortunately got struck by lightning. And then a few years later, then blew down. And so like the original is gone. There's a spot where it was. But before that, they were able to take some seeds and grow another one, which is very tall now, and it's only been 20-something years. And there was a family there, a gentleman and his wife, that are local. They're like, we have a farm right down the road. And they were just there talking about the history of the tree, and that's part of the property. And you could just tell they were like super enthusiastic to be there. They were dressed up for the event and everything, because the theme was Lady and the Tramp, so they were dressed in kind of like that 20s kind of outfit stuff. But it was cool. It was like, the people there are the best.
Yeah. So we drove in late Friday night, and then we had to stop at one of our favorite, I think the only places that there's not very many places in town, but we always stop at Ma Vic's Corner Cafe. We always stop. And then the other place that we always stop is the Marceline Pizza Company. And so we were super thrilled because we were looking at their menu online and realized, we can order online. So we were able to order online to then pick up our food to then go check in at our Airbnb. We did pull in late, so it was nice to be able to the food was ready as soon as we pulled into town. So that was great. So really enjoyed that. We stayed at a new spot this time that was a little further from Main Street, but still close enough that it could have been walkable. We chose not to walk because there was a lot of rain on and off during the day in the forecast. So we wanted to have the vehicle
security
there
of the vehicle
just in case. So just in case we didn't want to get caught walking across town in the rain. So anyways, super, super great. But first thing we did, man, was it a packed full day. The gala day itself was on Saturday, September 20th. And the first event started at 10 a.m. But before that, of course, we had to start our day right, how you do in Marceline, and stop over at Ma Vic's Cafe.
Yes, and Ma Vic's, of course, you're in a small town, first of all, and easy to run into people. A lot of people are in town for this event, Disney fans, people that we knew from before. We went to Ma Vic's for breakfast, ordered, Teresa got this massive, there was so much gravy on this biscuits and gravy. It looked really good. Like it was very popular.
Tag made fun of me because after I ate my biscuits and gravy, there was still so much gravy on the plate that you could have had another couple of biscuits on there, and still they would have been drowning in gravy.
Yeah.
They were very, very generous portions.
They also did something that I really enjoy, which is, I like French toast, but when you order it, a lot of times they give you like 3 or 4 pieces, and that's too much for me. You can order 1 piece of French toast on your meal, which I really enjoyed. I got some bacon, which I thought was great. We both got these giant glasses of chocolate milk, which were really good.
Because we're adults.
Yeah, right? Well, for breakfast, And we ran into just a few booths down from us. If you remember back, the Adventures by Disney Around the World trip that we had Josie on, she was there, of course, again, because that's where we actually met her 2 years ago. And so she was there. So if you want to go back and listen to that, episodes 311 and 312, you can hear about her adventure. Buckle in, because it is a long interview, because it was a very long, complicated trip.
The trip was 25 days long. So the fact that we were able to consolidate it was it was actually impressive.
But she was there, happy to see us. She's a really awesome, amazing individual as well. Also, Scott, also known better as the Disneyland nurse on social media, who was on episode 360, if you want to hear about Nurses Day and him talk about that. He was there with his family for the first time doing the gala event, and we enjoyed having some time chilling out. He was also on episode 361, so a couple different episodes. Nice spending time with him. We don't get to see him that often. We got to meet we had met his son before, but like his son's 2 now, so a little bit older. Adorable in a nice little outfit for the gala and stuff. Super cool. So because it was breakfast, we didn't get what is it called? The drink thing that you got to get there? The Dusty...
The
Dusty Miller?
Miller. No. Yeah, I'm like, it's the last name. Yep, the Dusty Miller.
Yeah, so we were a little early for the Dusty Miller. And actually, we never made it back for Dusty Miller.
I'm a little sad that we bummer that we didn't have a Dusty Miller this trip. Again,
so good,
another reason to get back. If you're wondering what a Dusty Miller is, it's a famous ice cream treat in Marceline, and it consists of vanilla ice cream, marshmallow syrup, chocolate syrup, and then it's topped with malted milk powder. It's very, very good. But yeah,
so good.
Treat, it looks like it's dust. And then there was there's a whole fun little story and little lore of a local that this was his favorite treat to get.
Sure. So what do we do after breakfast?
So after breakfast, I needed some caffeine. So we walked down to Cafe Marceline, which is just down the way on Main Street there. I think it's on the same block, actually, as Ma Vic's. I was able to get my coffee, which I really appreciated, having a local coffee shop right there that we could support. And then after that, we walked through E.P. Ripley Park and over to the museum. We spent some time taking photos over at the museum, because if you haven't, at the very least, you can Google the museum. We can include some photos too for people to look at, but it's gorgeous. It's in the old train depot right there in the heart of Marceline. And it's just a really beautiful building. One side, they have this really nice garden area, and there's all sorts of flowers and plants. And there's a focal point that was a fountain that's filled with different flowers and stuff. We spent some time. There's, like Disneyland, you can get a brick and have your brick in Marceline to support the museum. So we were looking through to see how many names that maybe we could spot and recognize of different people that had supported the museum over the years with their bricks. We spotted, who all did we spot? We spotted Becky Klein. We spotted Rick Law.
Michael Vargo, I think, had one. Josie had one.
Mm-hmm. So we spotted a couple of familiar names, which was very fun.
There was a lot.
And
we are planning on getting one too. We got the form for it. We just have to figure out what we want.
We're terrible because we've been saying this since the first time we went there, and we just keep, for whatever reason, oh yeah, we're gonna do that. Then no, we're doing it. We're doing it this time for sure. I've got the paperwork downstairs. So, anyways, we were kind of just putzing around because at 10 o'clock, the museum opened. B, you could check in officially for the event, but we went with option C and we signed up for a walking tour of Marceline that started at 10 a.m.
Now, if you listened to the last time we talked about Marceline for the last Dreaming Tree Gala a couple years ago, we went on a tour then too. Mm-hmm. They have expanded this tour than what it was before. So we had a lot more information this time. They had actually, was it 4 or 5? I think it was 5 tour guides that handed off as they went around because there was so much info. So by the museum, it was one guide telling us some things. Then when we got over into the E.P. Ripley Park by the post office, a different guide was giving us more info, etc. throughout the thing. And we learned all types of cool stories. I don't want to spoil it because I think you should go on the tour.
Yeah.
But there is a really fun story that we had never heard before about some rabble-rousers that came to town back in the olden days and were bested by somebody in town, and it was that was a cool story. We didn't hear that before.
Yeah, there was also a story about what used to be the hotel in town that had the nice fancy dining room and area. There was some Disney connection stories with that location, but then there was some other famous names that had come through and stayed at that location as well, including Shirley Temple, which is just wild. Because Marceline is a railroad town, but it's a very small town. It's just over 2,000 people currently, and at one point during the tour when they were talking about the population, it was 2,500. So it's always been a small town. So it's not like it was this giant place, and then it's just kind of gotten smaller over the years. No, it's always been a small railroad town. So it's pretty amazing to hear that not only did they have their very deep connection with Walt Disney, but then there's other famous names that have connections to Marceline as well.
Speaking of connections, in the middle of our tour, they were talking about the famous picture of Walt with his sister.
Oh, yeah.
And descendants of the people that owned the camera shop in Marceline that did that were on our tour. What?
That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was the great-grandson or something. I don't remember his great or just grandson, but either way, pretty wild. His sisters had both
been there,
Marceline,
but it was his first time back forever or whatever. And so I was like, wow, that's so cool, because that's a really famous picture of Walt and his sister. So yeah,
and it's of Walt and Ruth when they're young.
Yeah,
and I think Ruth is sitting in a chair and Walt's kind of standing behind her, but they're very, very young. Black and white photo, of course.
Well, living in Marceline, of course.
It's pretty amazing. So we wrapped up the tour, and it was perfect timing because as the final stories were being told, the skies started opening, and we were getting a little extra extra drizzle from above. So as the tour ended, though, and everybody's making their way into the museum, because, of course, if you were there for the event, we still had yet to do the check-in. So everyone was making their way into the museum to do the check-in, and then suddenly we were all, like, getting, like, you know, we felt like we were in the stretching room, like, you know, keep dragging your bodies into the middle of the floor.
Somebody
kind of thing.
said that even as we were coming in.
Which was great because, right, you're just surrounded by Disney fans, so everyone caught the reference immediately. And everyone knew we were Disney fans, so nobody was being, like, not polite and making room for others. So we made sure we got everybody in. And Kay, again, one of the founders and the current director of the museum, kind of was like, woo, okay, you know, like, holy cats, we have all of these people trying to check in all at once, and we have like one or two people that are checking in, and you know, so it's kind of like we were blocking the museum entrance with how many people there were. So she just off the cusp was like, who wants a tour of the first gallery of the museum? And I was standing next to Scott, and I jokingly looked at Scott and I was like, when Kay offers to take you through the museum on a personal tour, you say yes. And we just laughed. And so we're like, let's go. I think Tag ended up waiting in line to get check in and get our things. Much. No.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what a lot of people did was like, then the groups kind of split. So one person waited to check in while the others went ahead and got to hear Walt's story from Kay.
Yeah. And Kay, this room, of all the rooms you want Kay to talk to you in, this is the room. Because it's really funny. Most of the pictures and events that are pictured in that first room, she was either at or she's like in the photo.
Yeah.
Because she'll be like, I'm this girl right here.
Yeah.
Because she was there when Walt came to visit in the middle 50s. She was young. She was like 6, I think she said, something around there. And Walt stayed at her house when he came to visit because they were the only house that had air conditioning. And she told this whole story about that. And she was talking about how precocious of a young girl she was because she went up and said, what room are you staying in?
Mr.
Disney. And he's like, well, what room do you think? And she's like, the pink one. So he stayed in her room or whatever.
So she was joking. That was her claim to fame. That Walt Disney stayed in her bedroom.
Yeah, but she had all these great stories about them coming and all the she knows the history back and forth.
Oh yeah,
a lot of it because she literally was there. Which, like, how many people can you say were there when Walt was around for anything?
Well, that was kind of the cool thing. I don't know if you noticed this, but there were a couple people in the museum that had buttons that said like, "I met Walt" or "I was here when Walt visited," or there was people that are still in town that were there when Walt had made his trips back to Marceline to visit. So that was pretty amazing. So that first room is really dedicated to Walt and his history and his connection with Marceline. So it starts, of course, when he's a boy. There's actually his school desk that was there that you can see where he carved his initials in the desk that is there on display.
Which Kay was great because she's like, this desk has been loaned to Disneyland. It's been at Disney World. It's been a bunch of places. She said, but it's back here now. And she said they've made a replica of it, like, that has been shown somewhere, but she said it was smaller. But this is the original one.
This is the desk.
And she made some comment that, like, Walt had forgotten. He's like, I knew I carved my initials in it. I didn't realize I carved my initials in it twice. Because if you look, WD is carved in this twice.
Yeah.
Crazy.
One's a little bit more prominent than the other one. So Walt, of course, was there when he was... So Walt was born in Chicago, but then they moved to Marceline, and he spent kind of like his young formative years, as you will, in Marceline, Missouri, and like really credits Marceline to what really like sparked the magic and sparked his creativity and imagination. And so Marceline's always held a really special place to Walt. The family did move on from Marceline to Kansas City, so he wasn't there his full childhood, but it always really stuck with him, and really to him, Marceline was his hometown.
I did not remember. I maybe read this when we first went there, but I had forgotten the fact that his 2 older brothers like ran away.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had so his 2 older brothers were, I think, like 18 and 16 or something. I think she was saying, like their father said like, oh, you're gonna help work the farm and like you'll get paid for it or whatever. And then it wasn't as profitable as they had hoped. And so he said, well, your payment is the fact that you got food and board or whatever. So they went to bed early one night and then snuck out and left and never came back to Marceline. So I had like forgotten about that, I think, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then of course like Walt and Roy and Ruth and everybody like tried to band together, but then his father Elias got sick, and so that's why they ended up eventually having to sell the farm and move to Kansas City.
But there's a lot of fun stories in history of Walt and Roy and kind of the shenanigans that they got up to when they were in town. And then
like you would imagine Walt would get into.
And so we learned all sorts of things about that during the tour. And then, of course, seeing some of the things and some of the artifacts and history of those times in the museum. But then when Walt was an adult, he came back and visited Marceline and did a couple of special things for the city. They have a municipal park named after him, and there's a swimming pool. And he donated the Midgetotopia, which was the only attraction that has left a Disney park to then be installed in operational in a non-Disney park. Unfortunately, it is not operational to this day, but they kind of have I don't want to say a memorial because that sounds sad, but they have like a tribute to it, and they like what the track layout was, and there's one of the cars is on display. Yeah. The elementary school is named after Walt Disney. He actually even had his animators create some really fun large cutouts of different Disney characters that are still hanging on the walls of the elementary school to this day. And he donated a flagpole that was from one of the Olympics and all sorts of, like, he really cared about this town into his adult life and was still, doing different things that he could to support it. Kay was talking about some movie that he had showing at the local theater there, and they ran it for 24 hours straight so that everybody in town would be able to go and see and enjoy it. All sorts of really cool stuff.
Wasn't that... I'm not even going to try to guess what it was. I thought maybe it was so dear to my heart or something, but that doesn't seem right. They
did do a movie premiere there, too.
Yeah. The elementary school stuff was cool because the flagpole was from the Squaw Valley Olympics or whatever. And it was actually like flown... Like that pole was in Squaw Valley for the Olympics. So that's a super cool thing to have there. We're getting a little out of order because you mentioned it, so I want to talk about it real quick. Is we got to go to the elementary school, which... is not always open, but for this time it actually was open, so we could actually go into the school, and they had tour guides, students that had gone to the elementary school in there, and I had a great we had a great conversation with a couple of the girls there, talking about how much they love Marceline, and one of them actually had moved away for college and was happy to be back in Marceline, and she's like, I love it here. Like, the other girl was saying that she didn't ever have plans to leave Marceline, that she wanted to stay. So I kind of think, when you think of like young people in a small town, the stereotype is like they just want to get out, like because they want to go to like a big city or whatever. These people were like, no, we really love it here, and even though I did move away to a bigger town, I came back because like I love it so much. And so we got to go see one of the tour guides that we had for the Marceline tour at 10. The walking tour teaches kindergarten in there. We got to go see her room. Amazing classroom. Like, just for, I don't know. It just blew me away, the whole experience, and being able to see the paintings and everything. They have pictures of Walt and stuff like you would expect in there as well, because he, was instrumental in some of those things. And not have to see it from outside, because we got to look in before.
Before we were like peeking through the glass.
Yeah, but it was really cool, and they have a really cool like setup there. And if you do go look at the elementary school, it's only a couple blocks over the track from the museum, so it's not. You could go park by Ma Vic's and get to kind of like all the main points, except for the Dreaming Tree, which you could walk, but it's easier to take a car.
So the other cool thing and really special thing that we need to talk about with the museum is kind of why the museum exists. And really, Ruth, Walt's sister, is like the biggest, the reason that the museum exists. And it was her belongings and her history that kind of really, I guess, like
sparked
the whole thing, because she really wanted there to be a museum, a place to kind of house all the stuff and house her memories and house things that the family's memories and like the family's connection back to Marceline. And so because Kay had kind of grown up with the family, like she said, to the point that she'd answer the phone and Walt would be on the other line, on the other end, and wanting to talk to her father and stuff. So she and Ruth had a friendship and like knew each other and kept in contact throughout the years. And so Ruth, when she was older, told Kay, like, I want you to have my things. And Kay was kind of like, oh, okay. Not really knowing, what that was specifically. And so when sadly, when Ruth passed, her children got a hold of Kay and said, Mom wanted you to have her things. You want to come. And so Kay was telling us a story of how she went with an empty suitcase to bring back, whatever the things were. And she got there and it was way more than she could have imagined. I can't remember how the volume of items it was and how long it took for them to kind of go through and catalog everything. But that kind of was the I don't know, catalyst, I guess, for the creation of the museum. So really we have Ruth to thank for the museum. It's of course grown and expanded from that, but that the heart and the core of the museum is really because of Ruth. So there's some really amazing things in that space. They kind of have a section that's dedicated to her specifically, and there's all sorts of different letters that Walt wrote her that are on all sorts of different letterheads from his years at the Walt Disney Studios. And the fun thing is you can kind of tell when he wrote the letter without even looking at the date, because each letter has different letterhead and it had to do with whatever film that they were working on with the studio. So there's all sorts of different Disney studio films that are depicted on the letterhead, and then you can see his letters back and forth to her. There's the thing that we were really blown away with, which I'm sure we talked about before on the podcast, but it's worth mentioning again, is there's a TV set that's in this space too. And we thought it was really cool because it was playing like the opening day of Disneyland broadcast. And we're like, oh, this is neat. Like, it's kind of like we're being transported in time. Because I feel like this TV set looks like it would be back from 1955.
Funny you should say that.
Yeah,
right?
funny we should say that. Because then we're sitting there, we watched it, and then we realized there was a little, like, I don't know, plaque, little thing on top, and we read it, and it was literally Ruth's TV that she purchased to watch the opening day of Disneyland on, because Walt, of course, had invited her, and Ruth had didn't really enjoy crowds, and so she just really was like, I don't think that's a good, I don't think I can go. And he really wanted her to be a part of it. So he sent her money to go purchase a TV set so that she'd be able to watch it from the comfort of her living room. And that's the TV set.
We talk about this all the time, so I made sure one of the first photos that I took in there was the little plaque. So I'm just going to read it real quick. So Ruth Disney Beecher's son, Teddy, recalled, "My mother wasn't very fond of being in large crowds, so she declined Uncle Walt's invitation to the opening day ceremonies of Disneyland in 1955. To be sure we could enjoy the ceremonies from our home, Uncle Walt sent Mother the money to purchase a new television set. Both the television set and the rug in this display come from the estate of Miss Ruth Disney Beecher. The photograph of the young boy located on the television is Ruth's son, Teddy Beecher." Crazy.
I mean, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, really. The museum is just amazing. I found on their website real quick. So the Walt Disney Hometown Museum has 10,000 square feet and over 4,000 artifacts that cannot be seen anywhere else. Our Disney collection includes personal family artifacts donated by the Disney family, personal letters written between the Disney family members from the 1900s through the 1960s, gifts from Walt Disney himself to the city of Marceline, including remnants of the original Midget Autopia, photographs of Walt and Roy during their visits to Marceline, original artwork by graffiti artist Arcee, including his portrait of Walt, information on the Marceline project, Walt's plan to build a live history park in Marceline, reproduction of Park School, Walt Disney's elementary school, collector's gallery featuring items donated and loaned by the Disney collectors all around the world, and memorabilia of the Great Locomotive Chase and the Spirit of Mickey, 2 films that premiered in Marceline.
See, all sorts of amazing, cool things.
Yeah, so definitely go check it out. If you do go, it's like $10 for adults. If you're a D23 member, it's only $5.
Look at that.
Or if you're a cast member, even, is also only $5. But yeah, so great museum to see. So afterwards, of course, we already talked about it, but we went over to the elementary school, and then we had lunch again at Marceline Pizza Company. Teresa had one of their sandwiches that they have for lunch, and I had one of the flatbreads. Both were very, very good. And we actually had lunch with a weekly tier who was there.
We did. That was very, very fun. Very exciting. We were so happy. There's a couple of weekly tiers that we got to meet and spend time with throughout the weekend, which was really fun. And then the craziest part was we just happened to be at a table basically of all weekly tiers.
Yeah.
In fact,
for dinner.
Yeah, for dinner. In fact, we we were trying to figure out how to be able to squeeze in room for one more because we had someone else that was also a listener that was very kind and volunteered to sit at the table near us. But yeah, that was just kind of like a wild pinch me moment that, last time we went, it was just the two of us. And so the fact that there's, that many listeners and people that we knew were all there, that we had a table full of folks that we knew, was very, very amazing.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
So after that, we went into we ended up doing the VIP version of the weekend. So there were two different ticket types. There was just the Dreaming Tree Gala ticket, which included the walking tour, admission to the museum. Of course, you could go over and check out the school, and then the evening's festivities at the family farm, the Disney family farm, which included dinner and then a presentation by Leslie Eiswerk. But for the VIP portion, they had afternoon presentations, so they're kind of like extra presentations. So we got to hear first from Marcy Carricker Smothers, which, of course, Marcy, which she has been on the podcast, but she also has very popular books called Eat Like Walt, The Wonderful World of Disney Food, and Walt's Disneyland, A Walk in the Park with Walt Disney, plus more recently, 100 Disney Adventures of a Lifetime. So she is a Disney historian and author. And then she was there with a family member of hers, Holly Foster Wells. And Holly Foster Wells is the granddaughter of legendary singer and songwriter Peggy Lee. If you were like me, I really didn't know much of anything about Peggy Lee before this presentation, so I found a ton of value and learned so many things about this amazing, amazing woman. But she was a singer and a songwriter, and she was just a creative force and had a huge impact on the Lady and the Tramp film. She wrote a lot of the songs. Peg, the sassy dog that's in the pound that sings He's a Tramp, was named after Peggy Lee. I think she even also voiced Peg, as well as a couple of other characters within the film. So it was fascinating to learn about her and her connection and her history.
Yeah. It's so interesting because a lot of these events, there's, of course, like people that we've heard about before, like Marcy Carricker Smothers, like we know her. Of course, Leslie Eiswerk from the Imagineering Story. But there's always people that are listed that at first glance, I'm like, I don't know if I know that person yet. Mm-hmm. And so we don't know what to expect. And that's how I felt going into this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is a fascinating conversation about like her life. And at the time when they were doing all of this, like women weren't as involved as she was in a lot of the decisions and stuff that were happening. And she was so good that they respected her decisions and opinions and all of this stuff. And they played some clips of her singing like some famous Disney songs that she had put out on record. Like she didn't sing the original version, but she like did a cover of it. Mm-hmm. And so Marcy and Holly were saying like, look at how she was already involved with Disney stuff without Walt even knowing she was doing Disney stuff, which was super interesting and just like fascinating. Like I didn't know any of this. And it was so interesting. And having that familial connection between Marcy and Holly with her and like, I don't know. It was it's so cool.
Having those two be the one telling her story. So Marcy, we already let you know that Holly is Peggy Lee's granddaughter. Well, Marcy is actually the grandniece of Peggy Lee. So they both, had, familiar ties to her. And Holly was talking about how her grandmother entrusted her kind of with her, not her estate, but kind of her legacy. And so Holly is, keeps that very near and dear to her heart. She had a very close relationship with her grandmother. And so it was very cool. You could just see how proud both of them were of the wonderful things that Peggy Lee did. Include, of course, the focus on this was the Lady and the Tramp, because Lady and the Tramp is celebrating its 70th anniversary this year as well. But all of the other amazing things that she did. And like, what did they tell us that she, like Peggy Lee has like connections with Miss Piggy, and like because of the impact that she made on different people, and Frank Oz was one of those people, and he really looked up to and really respected her. And
didn't they say that like her original name was like Piggy Lee or something like that, or
Miss Piggy Lee.
Yeah.
They dropped the last name.
Yeah.
It was just Miss Piggy.
But they showed a photo of her like in her later years.
She was a diva, and
she had like
knew
a boa like Miss Piggy wears, and like these giant sunglasses. And they showed that right after they told us about the Miss Piggy thing, and we're like, oh, we see it.
Yeah. We're like, oh, yep. Look at them. They're both fabulous. So it was really, really amazing.
Fabulousness.
Next up was Matt McKim, which Matt McKim is an amazing, amazing person in and of himself, but he also has family connections with the Disney company. His father was Disney legend Sam McKim. So Matt's presentation was fascinating because he started talking about his history with the company. So Matt went into model making. His dad, Sam, and then his brother also kind of went in. They were artists too, but they went in more to like the fine art side of thing. And Matt was kind of talking about how he didn't want to compete with his dad and his brother, so he kind of forged his own path and went with sculpting. And he started in the model shop when he was younger, worked his way up, and was an Imagineer for many years. Worked on all sorts of different things, including one of the more recent or latest projects one of his last projects that he worked on was actually lighting design, and did a lot of the design in lighting for the Galaxy's Edge east and west locations, which is amazing. I should have told him this because I love looking at the lights in Galaxy's Edge because they're just so different and unique, and they fit in with that world so well because it just looks like it was scrap metal piece. Like they just feel like they were fashioned there. Yeah. But it's one of those things, again, that's the beauty of Imagineering. They suspend reality for you because, of course, somebody had to go put that together, buy it, whatever, craft it, whatever you want to call it. It's not like that. It didn't just
show up
there. Yeah, exactly.
He also worked on some things that I thought was really neat. And what's interesting was one of the things he mentioned was that as a sculptor, he was doing some of the rock work in the parks. And so he worked on Storybook Land, and he talked about how when they had to replace that tunnel that you first go into on Storybook Land, when you go into Monstro and there's like the tunnel, or not Monstro, when you go
Cave of Wonders.
The Cave of Wonders, that he's like, it was made out of like chicken wire and 2x4s, and so they rebuilt it out of steel to make it like longevity. But he said that he did so much research and stuff on it to make sure that when they redid it, that it would look like identical to what it looked like originally, so you wouldn't even like know. And I thought that was cool. He worked on rock work in Disneyland Paris, like that mountain that's on the side of the castle. Like he did some stuff there, and there's an interesting story that he had about one of the waterfalls there too. But just like what an amazing like body of work. And what was interesting, and one of the other people in the audience called him out on it at the end, which I thought was necessary in a way, was he kind of was like, when you do something yourself, everybody does this. Like, it doesn't seem as amazing to you because you did it. So he obviously really looked up to his father and was like, well, here, let me give you my little thing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now we're going to get to my dad and whatever. And so somebody in the audience was like, you did amazing work too, and you also need to be celebrated. So we gave him like a nice clap and everything, because he kind of he went through his stuff. Lots of cool information, but then was like, okay, now to my dad, and look how amazing all this stuff my dad did was. But he deserves it too, because he's an artist in his own right, and he did fantastic work.
Well, and the other really neat thing too that he was talking about was how he kind of grew up in Imagineering, because his dad was working on some different things, and so he was kind of like a guinea pig sometimes. So he'd come like hang out with his dad or go have lunch with his dad or whatever, and he'd be like, hey, what do you think of this, this new thing that we're trying with this thing or whatever. So he kind of would like test stuff out, because he was like, an 8-year-old boy. So they're
cool
building these things to be, things that children his age would be using and enjoying. So they kind of used him as a test subject to kind of see if they were going in the right direction or if things were working well or whatever. So he had really, he said he had really fond memories of Imagineering. He was also talking about how he had 5 favorite Imagineers. And the thing that was really cool was he said that they were his favorite Imagineers because of how they talked to him when he was a child. They talked to him like as a person, and like they were very interested in what was going on in his life and, you know, that kind of stuff, and talked to him more like an adult than like the 8-year-old kid, and, you know, kind of talk around him. So
like
that
on
was
the same
pretty,
level.
Yeah. So that was pretty incredible. But we learned a lot of really amazing things about his dad too. So Sam McKim, I think, is probably most well known for the maps, because he's the one that did the incredible and very, very detailed hand-drawn maps of Disneyland, and he did them for years. He did them for other parks as well.
There was a word that he used for that type of map, and I don't remember what it is now. Because he said it was the something map, and like it was like a style or a way that they did the map. I don't remember what it was, but I remember going, I should remember that.
He was talking about how it was such a process. Like everyone loves these maps for good reason.
I love the maps.
But he was talking about kind of like the process behind the maps, that his dad would have to first draw them in pencil and then like blue line them and then ink them, and then they'd go off for color and whatever. And so he'd go over every single line like 4 times or something. And these are so detailed. And he had pictures of this where it's his dad sitting there with a pen or, you know, whatever in his drawing instrument in one hand and a magnifying glass in the other, because that's just how intricate and detailed these things are, that you need a magnifying glass to really see every single little detail and every single little line that
they're amazing.
He put into these things, which is absolutely incredible. So they were a labor of love for sure, because it was very, very detailed, but very, very incredible. So that was kind of like what he was known for. I didn't know that he was also a childhood actor. He was a child star, like to the point that at one point in his career, he had 2 offers. One was to like be in this movie, and it was a bigger leading role that he was kind of hoping for and asking for years, or he could go be an artist for one of the studios. And he had like this crossroads when he was younger to decide what path he wanted to go towards. And Matt even had like his contracts and stuff to show what he was making as an actor, and then what he gave up to then really pursue his passion, which was drawing and which was art. So that I didn't know that at all. I only know the Disney thing. So that was pretty amazing to learn.
And they showed us like footage of his dad acting and stuff. And I was like, I didn't know any of this. He was in a scene. They did like a test footage of him with Shirley Temple. And I was like, what? He wasn't cast in that role in the end, but he did the screen test for it. So I was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So super fascinating. Because like Teresa and I think as this was going on, we kind of looked at each other. We're like, what?
Yeah, we're like, wow. So
on set, he would draw things like there was a story that they were filming this movie, and there was a schoolhouse scene, and there was a chalkboard in there, and he had drawn this like covered wagon on the chalkboard, and the director came and was like, "This wasn't here when we filmed the scene. Who drew this? We need to reshoot the scene to have this in it because it's so well done." Which I thought like that was just fascinating. Yeah. But we all benefited because we got him. He was doing the thing he loved, and we got the cool maps and stuff out of it.
It's amazing. He also worked on different projects like Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, Carousel Progress, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and eventually every land at Disneyland Park benefited in some way from Sam's creative genius and his artistry. So that's amazing. The other cool thing too is Matt is going through, this is now the second time we've seen Matt speak, and he's talked about it both times. His dad saved like everything, which is such a treasure in and of itself, because a lot of this stuff at that point, they would do whatever the thing was, and then like they'd toss it because they were done and moving on to the next thing. But he saved like everything, to the point of like Matt was even saying that he found like notes about like when he was going to the doctor or like whatever. Yeah. And so he said it's actually been really fascinating kind of putting these together, because there's also a timeline of how and when he was doing all of these different things, and, you know, what his life really truly was like. So anyways, he's putting together a book to kind of really share all of this wonderful, you know, history that he saved throughout the years of his career and all the different things he did. But he brought, which rightfully so, nobody was allowed to take any photos or video, but he brought some original things from his dad's collection that he had in the presentation, but then also had the originals back on display for us to be able to go and look. at. So that was
super cool.
Really neat to see it because it was cool that it was the thing that was really special about it is we saw it on the screen and in person, but then being able to see the originals, you get to see the size of what the thing actually was. But then there was just so many more layers and details that you can't catch, from a presentation that you can see on the original. So that was pretty magical. The other really fun thing that I have to give a shout out and mention about Sam McKim is he did a very famous, especially to us Haunted Mansion folk, very famous rendering of what the Haunted Mansion may or may not look like. So they were trying to pitch to Walt the mansion, and he did it looks like the mansion today, but it was a little bit more run down, and it was like in a wispy overgrown field, and that was part of the presentation, and they pitched it to Walt, and Walt didn't like it, and that was when Walt famously said that the exterior of the mansion will be taken care of by Disneyland, and the interior will be taken care of by the ghosts, and so the interior was going to look kind of like decrepit and like it was falling apart and cobwebby and all that kind of stuff, but the outside was going to still look nice and clean and pristine.
Yeah, and he did that like quickly
too. Yeah. It was I can't remember what the time frame was, but it was a very quick turnaround from when he was asked to do it to when it needed to be done to present.
And it's a famous, like, you've probably seen this painting before. Like, it's a pretty famous Haunted Mansion painting.
Yeah.
So next in our discussion series, we had Don Perry, who is a historian and author who's written a bunch of stuff. And he came out to talk about interviews and stuff that he had done with directing at Disney, the original directors of Walt's animated films. So he spoke with...
He worked on this book with Pete Docter. And what did he say? They worked on this book for it was like seven or 10 years. Like it was quite the lengthy process. They first launched this book kind of back during close to D23, the Ultimate Fan event last year. So the book's been out about a year. So he was telling us some of the different stories and excerpts of the different folks that are in the book, kind of some of their, struggles, also their personalities, the personality clashes, and just kind of, who were these people and what is it really like to direct an animated film? Because Walt and the Disney Studios kind of really pioneered that. So we even had like flow charts and
which are crazy.
Flow charts of kind of like what the evolution of it looked like, because in the beginning, Walt was kind of the one in charge and Walt was the one that was making all the decisions. But as time went on and the studio was growing and there were more and more projects, he just couldn't. So then it was kind of like the hierarchy of how they kind of evolved who reported to who was responsible for what, and how they kind of kept everybody on the same page.
Yeah. And which ended up being good in the long run, because obviously once Walt passed, you need to have people that can do this. But this is where because originally with animation, I did not know this. I thought it was amazing. Originally with animation, there wasn't a director.
Yeah.
It was and so they added in the director, and then they had different directors that were doing different parts, and it got kind of convoluted. Then they kind of reined it back into a process that kind of worked well together. He had lots of these diagrams. You've seen diagrams like this before, where it's one person at the top, and then it splits, and there's all these different things that, the different areas that they oversee. It was very... I think we need to see the book, because I think these graphics are probably in the book, but in his talk, it was kind of trying to listen to him talk, but then also look at the graphic. It was oh my goodness.
Honestly, listening to his presentation, that was just kind of brushing the surface of what the book really went into. And there was so many, the thing that I found really interesting too about his talk was there was so many faces and names that I've not heard before. And, we're very into the park side of things, and we kind of just have probably just a minimal surface level idea of the animation side of things. Of course, there's a couple of names that kind of float to the top, but there were so many more people involved than just, the couple of names we've heard. So I think it's awesome that they spend the time and put these stories together to share with all of us fans, to really show, the importance of who these people were, what some of their struggles were, what some of their triumphs were, and, just kind of to really just celebrate them and let you know who, it's one of those things, the more into the Disney universe we're getting, and then I go back and I watch different films and stuff, I find myself, right, when you're a kid, you just kind of the movie's done, I'm just gonna fast forward through this. Or even some of the older Disney films, they had a lot of pre-credits before the film started. Well, I'm recognizing more and more names now every time I watch these, and I just find that really incredible and really fascinating.
James and I just finally got back to watching some of the older ones, and it was funny because even James is picking up on the names because we were watching Saludos Amigos, and he goes, "Oh, Claude Coates.
Yeah, see?
Oh, like, this person, that person, like, oh, Exenticio or whatever." Yeah. Like, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so proud that like you know these things." So super interesting. It sounds like I feel like this book is going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. I haven't read it yet, but like I think that it's one of those that you're going to have to like spend some time with to get through all the details of stuff. But it was really cool. So after that was the last of the talks for the afternoon. Everybody had to kind of head over to the actual gala, which happened in the evening. We went back to our Airbnb and got changed for the event because we wanted to be a little bit more dressed up. And so we went over and were able to go in. We got there a little bit early, but they were already kind of starting things. There was a speakeasy.
Peg's Speakeasy.
That was super adorable. They had they had like a little cup that had like a pretzel rod and a bunch of like meats and stuff in it. Everything was Pegs. So they had coasters, they had matchbooks, they had mints, they had napkins, like all of these things said Peg on it. Super well themed. They had all of these great acrylic like laser etched signs that were all around. They were also on the table toppers for all the different tables at the actual gala a little bit later. So super cool. You had one of the drinks that had a little bit of booze in it.
Yeah, it was, I don't remember what the drink was called, but it was kind of like the specialty drink of the night. And it was this fun blend of fruit juices with an alcohol that I don't remember what it was. And
it had a weird
all
name.
Of them were like Pim. That's what it was. It was Pim. And it's a liqueur that I'd never heard of. And they said that even when they tried like searching what it was, there was really not a description for it, but it worked with the drink very well. It was not a very like alcohol-y flavored kind of alcohol being a liqueur. So it was a good add to the fun fruitiness of the drink.
Yeah.
But the thing that was just really wild is the other thing they had too is they had a neon sign with the Pegs logo that they kind of created for this makeup speakeasy. But they went it was a very Disney thing because there were so many different elements of it, and they had so many different things of theming over in this space that they didn't need to have Pegs specific coasters and the mints and all, but it was so cool that they did. It felt very right. It felt just like we were back like in the parks. We were very immersed in the world of Peg's Speakeasy with all these fun little touches.
Yeah, and it was super neat. They did a great job theming it. Like Teresa said, they had like nice furniture and stuff. They had these cool popcorn lights strung up through the trees and everything.
Yeah, so it was in like a little like grove of trees is also where it was set up. So it was a really cool,
great location. We took the opportunity to walk over to Walt's Barn again, and there was people in there signing because they have basically every surface on the inside of this barn people have signed or can sign on. So we added our year to the one we had signed before. We looked for longer than we probably should have to try to find where the one from the last gala was. But yeah, there's a bunch in there. There's the benches if you go to the D23 Ultimate Fan Event. Although I don't know now with our news from last week do you think the Walt Disney Hometown Museum will still be a featured booth, or because they were separate?
Find out. They were separate from where all the collectibles and stuff were.
Yeah. So, but they had the benches there at the Ultimate Fan Event that you could like sign there, and they bring it back to the farm and they rotate them inside the museum and out in Walt's Barn. So, if you signed something at the D23 event, chances are if you come to Marceline, you can look for your signature on those things.
You know, we tried doing that. I think the first time we were there's lots of benches, as you can imagine, because there's lots of benches that get signed throughout each D23 Expo and Ultimate Fan Event. We have not found our one that we signed last year. Last Expo Ultimate Fan Event, we were smart though, because we just happened to come by shortly after the ambassador team had gone by, and we signed nearish where the ambassador team was. So we're trying we're trying to get better about when we sign things so we can remember where the heck it was that we signed it when we try and find it the next time. So yeah, so we'll have to keep our eyes open to see if we ever find our signatures on the benches.
We tried really hard a couple times to try to find that when we've been there. But again, there's a lot of benches, so there's a lot. And there's so many signatures.
One of these days we'll find them.
Then we went back up to the tents.
Yeah,
and got
the
our
tent
spots.
was, so again, we were celebrating the 70th anniversary of Lady and the Tramp. So the dinner theming for the evening was, of course, Lady and the Tramp theme. So there were these nice big signs on the front and the back entrance of the tent that let us know that we were now entering Tony's restaurant, which of course is where Lady and the Tramp sit outside and have their very romantic candlelit spaghetti dinner. There was a fun little photo op even that had the seating, and it looked like, you were outside of Tony's diner with your little plate of spaghetti. But they went one step further, and there were little individual wrapped pieces of tan string, so you and your partner could really recreate the scene and make it look like you're sharing a piece of spaghetti. Spoiler alert, Tag and I did not do that.
No.
but
there was quite a line for that, too.
A lot of people did, which was, I don't know, I didn't even think about it. I just thought it was funny. So, and all the tables were themed, of course, to Lady and the Tramp. Like Tag said, they had the acrylic etched pieces, and of course the ones in the tent were, Lady and Tramp in different poses with roses. There were these really gorgeous bottles of wine on the table that you could drink, but they were also very much in theme. So it was really, really fun.
They had, of course, the gala is a fundraiser for the hometown museum. So not only does your ticket, whether you buy general admission or the VIP, go to help support that, but they also have a auction that you can do.
Yes.
And some of the items that were at the auction was they had a section of the Carrollwood Pacific Railroad track. So this was the railroad track that was in Walt's backyard. It was his train. So they had a small section of this that was on auction.
I looked at Tag and I'm like, that
is super rare.
Priceless.
Yeah.
How incredible is it?
There was a price, but
there was a price. But yes, but it was right. What an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, there's only so much of that, right? They had a Disney barn miniature, so a little model of the barn there in Marceline. They had a couple Disneyland 70th packages, which included a bunch of 70th anniversary things from this year. They had a Disneyland Railroad spike, which Weekly Tiers actually ended up getting.
Weekly Tier won that one. That was really exciting.
It was in a shadow box, and there was a picture of the Disneyland Railroad on top at the Main Street station, and then there was the railroad spike at the bottom, framed up really nicely, which was really cool.
Again,
I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford it.
Incredible find.
Yeah, exactly. They had a Lady of the Tramp Jim Shore sculpture. They had a painting, a Mickey Shadow by Rob Katz. They had a wine glass. They had a Rocketeer helmet. They had tickets to the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. They had another tour of Garner Holt Productions and lunch with Garner. You might remember we talked about this when we went to Disneyana this year. The funny thing was the three people that we knew really well at the event all were bidding for this. So that was a fun one.
We found that out after the fact that those three were all bidding against each other.
Yeah, it was just funny.
But it's all for a good cause, so it's great.
There's the Walt Disney by RC, a signed print of that. There's a Studios package, and then there was, I bid for one of these, but did not win it. There were 5 of them. A Where It All Began, Walt's Early Years poster that was basically Walt under the Dreaming Tree with a Mickey in the clouds with a train.
It's
in Marceline.
Great poster.
It's a wonderful poster.
It really was a great poster.
Raised a lot of money though for the museum, which is amazing.
Which is what it's all about. We're there for the Disney stuff, but really we're also there to support the museum with this event. So the main event for the dinner was a presentation and speaking from Leslie Iwerk. So she got up and talked about her history and her connection with the Disney company, and then her career that kind of has, expanded up and upon that. So Leslie,
way wider than I ever knew, by the way.
Yeah. We learned a ton. We learned so much. So Leslie, as a lot of you may know, is an Academy Award nominated filmmaker who has preserved a lot of the magic and the history of Disney. She has a really deep passion for storytelling, but she also has a really deep connection to the company and to actually Mickey Mouse. She's the granddaughter of Disney legend Ub Iwerks, who was not only a brilliant innovator, but he also was one of Walt's first partners, and he helped in the creation and developing of both Oswald and Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
And he then also went even further and did a bunch of things to kind of push forward animation with special effects and different techniques and filming techniques, and did just a ton of, I can't remember how many different patents and inventions she said he had, but it was wild. I, again, only really knew the animating side of UB's history. But yeah, so what was Leslie's story?
Oh my gosh. It was really good because she talked about, you covered a lot of what she talked about, but she talked about stuff that I didn't know she did. So, of course, like, I'm going to go look these things out now. So, of course, the very first documentary she did was The Hand Behind the Mouse, the UB Iwerk story. So kind of telling his story, because obviously when you're set up against someone that's like, who's meteoric in notoriety as Walt Disney, your story sometimes it gets a little overshadowed, but that doesn't mean that it's any less great, because I think it is great.
Or any less important.
Yeah, exactly. And so she felt that it was really important to tell that story. So that's awesome. She did, everybody knows the Imagineering story, but she did the Pixar story.
Yeah.
So the first 20 years of the Pixar company, and I was like, I didn't know that this was a thing, so definitely going to look out for that. Everybody who knows anything about Star Wars and ILM or Industrial Light and Magic has probably seen Light and Magic, which is there's a like documentary series on Disney Plus. She did a different documentary called Industrial Light and Magic: Creating the Impossible, for them, telling their story. So she's been involved in all of these really unique, amazing organizations and has told their stories.
Yeah.
She also just recently did 100 Years of Warner Brothers that just came out not too long ago. And then, of course, she talked about the upcoming one that we're all very excited about, which was Disneyland Handcrafted, that she's been working on for a really long time, and very excited, and talked about some of the footage coming from that. I'm more excited. I didn't even know it was possible to be more excited.
Well, and the crazy thing about that was this was all stuff that she discovered while she was creating the Imagineering story. And actually, like, she was talking about like how some of the stuff they were able to kind of pull and preserve because it was just on the original film still. They were able to pull and preserve some of that stuff as part of the Imagineering story. And then she's like, but there's a whole other thing and story to tell. And so she's kind of been patiently waiting to be able to, do the continuation and to continue to tell the story of the creation of Disneyland. So that was pretty wild to learn that, like, she's very patient to be able to do that. But the other thing too that I wanted to mention, so not only was her grandfather a Disney legend, her father is also a Disney legend. Her father was Don Iwerks, and he carried the creative torch forward after his, kind of built on what his father had been doing. So he also pioneered film and camera innovations that just transformed the way that stories were told. I think the thing that comes to mind, one of the Iwerks, now I don't remember if it was Don or if it was UB, did the circle vision.
Oh, yeah.
So, like that kind of just amazing creative technology. UB, I know, was doing stuff that then helped make it possible to be able to do like how there was animation and live actors in, things like Mary Poppins, Pete's Dragons, that kind of stuff. So just those two men are amazing and have just huge contributions. And then for Leslie to be this incredible storyteller to make sure that people know about these things is just like this beautiful kind of blend and kind of like it's just incredible. So we were just kind of like, I don't know, like in awe of her and everything that she's done, everything that her family has done. And she knows that she like is very, very, very lucky because her first ever project was to be able to tell her grandfather's story. She was 1 year old when her grandfather passed. So she grew up she never actually knew her grandfather, but she grew up with his stories because his wife, her grandmother, was still alive and shared stories of all the different, things that he would come home and tell her and all that kind of stuff. So he was always kind of like a mystery to her. And so I think she was always just very curious about, who was this man, not my grandfather, but what were his contributions and whatever. And so when she graduated film school, it was kind of like, okay, well, what do you want to do now? And she told her family, like, I really want to tell my grandfather's story. And because her father had, was part of the Disney company and was a big contributor for the Disney company, he was able to set up meetings and kind of, because part of, a big part of Ub's story is also a big part of the Disney company's story. Yeah. So she needed to get permission and all that kind of stuff. And she did this like right out of film school, was able to do this. And because she did that, she was telling us that she was going around and showing the film. And one of the places that she was on, her tour to show the film was Pixar. And how the way that she told the story was just so captivating and just was very special to John Lasseter, that he's like, I need you got to tell our story, because we're kind of in the midst of the like boom, because she did this when I don't remember, they were only like 3 films in at this point, so they were just really like picking up speed and gaining the momentum and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So it was perfect timing for someone to kind of come in and document all the amazing things that they were doing to then make sure that their story was preserved. One
of the most amazing things that you skipped over in that beautiful telling of all of that, by the way, was she came in with like a trailer cut of what she could do.
That's right.
They were like, you did this.
Yeah.
Like in this trailer, you've done this amazing job. Yes, we want you to do stuff. So right from the beginning, right out of school, she was already super talented to be able to take something that was probably 2-3 minutes and do such a great job with it that people were like, we will fund your project. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, but she also said she was supposed to come in with like a short trailer, but she like had way expanded it, because she's just like, there's so many cool things.
Yeah.
So she's just, and that's what's, a big thing that we find with a lot of people's stories is they're just so passionate about whatever it is that they're creating, that they just have a genuine love and connection, and they really truly believe in whatever it is they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how this really incredible work comes to be. But it's just, all it made me do, and you were physically doing this while she was talking, I was mentally adding to, well, I gotta watch this and I gotta watch that. Tag's literally like writing them all down,
looking them up.
Looking them up to make sure you didn't forget, one of the titles. But
yeah, I went and looked her up and then saw her like filmography and was just like, holy crap, gotta watch that.
Yeah. So we're just talking about the Disney specific things. Tag kind of mentioned some of the other like fandom type things that she's created, but she was also talking about how she's done documentaries on different people through, around the world and throughout the world, of how they they live and their lives and their culture and all that. It's just incredible. So she's, again, I think we just always knew her in the scope of Disney and what she was doing as far as Disney documentaries, but her resume goes far beyond that.
Yeah, which like I thought what she did with the Imagineering story was amazing, and the fact that she has this whole other body, like I'm so excited to watch her other body of work, because like I feel like that's going to be the quality of like everything she does. Oh, yeah. And then of course on the cruise ship that we were just on recently, like I finally decided to start reading the Imagineering story book that like got published with that. So like, there's just so much cool stuff, and she's got other things that she wants to do planned, and like other documentaries that she wants to work on and things coming out. So she is not slowing down, folks.
No.
So anyway, so that was really great. And then we also skipped over the fact that for dinner, because it was Lady of the Tramp, we had spaghetti meatballs with a side salad, some garlic bread, and apple pie with cheese, just like we did last time, because that was like Walt's thing. And then Kiss Goodnight fireworks, which was
gorgeous. So they do a nice little fireworks display on the other side of the pond on the Disney farm. And it's just a really magical way to end just such an incredible day and evening filled with so much love and joy and happiness. And yeah, it was just great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Other than like the little bit of drizzle we had, like the weather was beautiful. Yeah. Like it was just great. So
this being our third trip to Marceline also, I think, made it even more special, because it almost felt like not like a homecoming, but we just knew so many more people, and like, so it was really fun to meet new friends, catch up with old friends, all that kind of stuff, and to be just a part of this group instead of just kind of being people that just happen to be with other people. Like we knew a lot of people, which was just very, very fun. And we got to meet different listeners, which is always incredible.
And oh my gosh. So we didn't experience it this time, but Scott, Disneyland Nurse, who this was his first time at Marceline, I said, oh, did you guys get to meet the sheriff who makes the joke about like the thing? And he's like, we did. And I was like, we didn't see him, but you saw him. That's awesome. So like just the fact that like when you come to Marceline, even though we didn't see him, like that experience happened. Just love it. So if you ever get the opportunity to go, Teresa and I have talked about trying to get something together for like the podcast to try to go. That's like something we haven't even started planning anything like that yet, but just an idea to kind of make it a little more accessible and less scary. Cause like it's less scary when you do it with a group, right?
Well, and then, just it makes it a little bit more, it just makes it a little more easy to kind of figure out, okay, how are we going to do this, because again, where the airport is compared to where Marceline is and, all that kind of stuff. And things are just more fun with friends.
That's
too,
true.
Right?
And we love it so much. I feel like when we had Sumner on, it was the same thing where we're kind of like cheerleaders for the town. So like, it's what a perfect like mix of like, introducing like ambassadors to Marceline.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like we were just talking about the Disneyland ambassadors. Right. We could be like unofficial Marceline ambassadors.
But I just want to say,
love it.
Like, I'm not just saying this because like I firmly believe this about this town and I love this town and like you just feel it there. I'll bet you if you talk to the weekly tiers who went for the first time this trip, if you talk to Scott, like they would all say the same thing because it was just such a great town and place and there's a vibe and a feeling there, especially when the gala is happening, that is just so like awesome.
Special and it's unique.
Yeah.
If you're going to be at the Disneyland Resort on Sunday, October 19th, come and meet us and other weekly tiers. We will be at the covered seating area just outside of the D-Lander shop in downtown Disney, over by the Downtown Disney live stage. We will be there from 1 till 3 p.m. Stop by and get yourself a little fun gift that you can only get by meeting us in person. We hope to see as many of you there as possible. Once again, the meetup is on Sunday, October 19th by the D-Lander shop in downtown Disney from 1 until 3 p.m.
And I'm excited to see you there.
That's the other big thing. The producers will both be there. You don't have to just, it's not just Tag and myself. So you can meet James and Vern as well.
Feed us trivia questions, things that we need to look for in the park, because then we can have some really great ideas to bring on to it. But that is enough delay. We have answers to go through.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. The minions can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DLWeekly.
Our first question this week was, what is the name of the lounge in Club 33? With a bit of gentle nudging, you two found your way to Le Salon Nouveau.
Woo! Almost got our, fan cards taken away for blanking so hard on that one.
That was rough.
I don't think they would have let us back in.
Yeah, it would have been like, oh no. We heard Trivia Land, you're not allowed.
Not gonna happen. Yep. Get out.
Like, what are you doing?
But I will have a great time there, so that's fine.
Wow.
Whenever that happens again.
Wow.
Question number 2 this week. I asked, what year did the Dapper Dans debut on Main Street? You both went into the 70s and 80s. It is much more timeless and old than you give credit. They debuted in 1959.
Dang it. So terrible. My first guess was 61. Should have just.
Yeah, it still would have been wrong.
I know.
You are so right, though, at the lack of Walt and Dapper Dan interactions, though. I don't think I've seen them, and yeah, it's interesting.
I would love it if someone out there has seen if there's some sort of promo photo or something with Walt and the Dans, because I can't think of one. If they were there, I feel like there has to be one.
Yep. I would assume so.
There has to be.
I would assume at some point. So, but anyway, moving on. As of recording date, today, Monday, September 22nd, 2025, what churros are on the menu throughout Pixar Pier? You correctly identified Senor Buzz is the only place with churros currently. 2 churros on the menu, as I told you. The cinnamon sugar churro is called the Cinnamon Super Galaxy churro.
That's a difficult one.
And we are not into Halloween season yet. It is a strawberry horchata churro.
Oh.
That sounds delicious.
I was going to say that sounds like one that this whole group would probably enjoy. Our final question this week came from listener Paige N, who wanted to know how many quick service restaurants are in Disneyland. Paige gave me an approximate number. I pulled up the app. Paige gave me the exact number. It's 27. Are you ready for this?
We were
list?
good, though. We got 25. That's pretty good.
I'm giving you the points for being within
What
2.
did we miss?
I think you added a few and missed a few. So
Okay, well, here we go.
Here's
'Cause
the
he said
list.
The list is inconsistent.
In alphabetical order.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Alien Pizza Planet.
Check.
Bengal Barbecue.
Check.
Candy Palace and Candy Kitchen.
Oh.
Okay.
Docking Bay 7.
Check.
Galactic Grill.
Check.
Gibson Girl Ice Cream Parlor.
Yeah,
Missed that one.
That's interesting.
The Golden Horseshoe.
Check.
Harbor Galley.
Check.
Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree.
Check.
Jolly Holiday Bakery Cafe.
Check.
Katsaka's Kettle.
Check.
Little Red Wagon.
Yep.
Market House. Maurice's Treats. Mint Julep Bar. Plaza Inn.
Yep.
Pooh Corner.
Oh.
Oh, there's food in there. I like candy.
Yeah, yeah.
Rancho del Zocalo.
Oh, did we forget that?
I think we said I said Rancho.
Okay.
Red Rose Tavern.
Yep.
The Refreshment Corner.
Yep.
Ronto Roasters.
Refreshment corner is also Coke corner.
Same thing. Just
Ronto
rebranded.
Roasters we got. Okay.
Royal Street Veranda.
Yep.
Stage Door Cafe.
Oh.
Forgot that one.
Yep.
Tiana's Palace.
Yep.
The Tiki Juice Bar.
Oh.
What did we add?
The Tropical Hideaway.
Okay. We had that.
And the Troubadour Tavern.
All right. So what did we add?
I have no idea.
I don't remember.
We're gonna have to go back in time and listen, because either that or I was just really bad at counting.
Troubadour
was on
Oh,
there. Yep.
you know what it was?
Oh, you added Cafe Daisy.
Cafe Daisy, and we added
Edelweiss?
Yep.
Interesting.
I tried Googling what the definition of a quick service restaurant was, and apparently that is a general term used not just in Disney, but a lot of other places. And I was like, well, this is weird.
I fully believe all of that. So.
Sure.
And I fully cannot put together one reason or another of why these are quick services or not quick service. So here we are.
Interesting. Because Disney said so.
Yep. I think a lot of them had mobile order available too, which kind of helped with some of the pickup part of it.
So when you looked for this, is there literally like a checkbox of quick service?
There's
Okay.
a quick service filter that gave me all.
What are the
27
other
of those.
options other than quick service that you can select?
Ooh, there are a lot of other options.
Oh, never mind.
You'll just have to go look in the app.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can choose reservations accepted, buffet / family style, casual dining, character dining, fine / signature dining, dining events, breakfast, quick service, bars, and lounges.
Okay.
And then there's
I
another
feel
one
future
where I
trivia
can choose...
questions of like bars and lounges, but those I feel like are going to end up being like not in the park.
I've got great ideas. Don't you worry. So thanks to Paige
Oga's.
for inspiring this one.
Oga's would be a bar lounge.
That's
true.
Great ideas. That's it for sure.
Plenty of great ideas to come. And maybe this sparks some great ideas in you listeners. Hey, we love to have these listener questions come on in. You can treat TNT to some great thoughts and ideas and quiz them by sending us trivia questions. Just head on over to our website, dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast and Andy Mack for all the wonderful character transitions.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal podcast companion. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this episode? My scans indicate you have been a good weekly tier. Have a lollipop. Now excuse me while I let out some air. Goodbye.